This is you, and this is fear. Grr. It shows up when you're about to do something important, like tell someone how you feel, or take a risk, or maybe start the project that could change your life. Fear tells you you're not ready, you'll fail, you don't know what you're doing, and if you listen to your fear, then it wins. It feels like your fear stops you just in that moment, but in reality, it holds your entire life back. In this video, I'll give you a sword, a shield, and a map. These are 3 science-backed strategies to help you stop fear from ruining your life and finally doing the things that matter to you. How do you fight fear when it's already making you feel scared and vulnerable? One way is to face it head on with your sword. Your sword represents your mindset. These aren't just thoughts that sound brave. They're the kind that actually cut through your fear. They're scientifically proven to actually change how your brain responds. I'll show you 3 different fighting stances you can take to overcome your fear. The first is redirection. In a 2014 study from Harvard Business School, people were asked to perform anxiety-inducing tasks like public speaking and math tests. One group said to themselves, "I'm excited," and the other group said, "I'm calm." The group that said, "I'm excited," actually performed better because they didn't try to suppress their fear and replace it with calmness. Instead, they redirected it and turned their energy from fear into a fuel. Fear creates the same response as excitement: racing heart, sweating, and alertness. Something I do when filming these videos is take a deep breath and tell myself, "Get excited," in the style of Senku from the Dr. Stone anime. It redirects my performance anxiety into excitement, which energizes and relaxes me at the same time. So the next time that you're feeling scared or anxious, shift your mindset to opportunity rather than threat by saying, "I'm excited." The second fighting stance is grow. In a classic study by Carol Dweck and her colleague Ellen Leggett, 2 sets of students were given increasingly difficult sets of puzzles, including some puzzles that they couldn't actually solve. These puzzles were designed to trigger failure. Some of the students had a fixed mindset. They believed their intelligence was just something that you're born with. And when they hit the hard puzzles, they got frustrated, put less effort into the tasks, and their performance dropped. They saw their failure as a personal fault and said things to themselves like, "I'm not smart enough. I can't do this. I'll never be able to do this." But the other group believed they could improve through effort. They had a growth mindset. When they hit failure, they didn't stop. They stayed engaged. They kept trying. They got curious. They treated their failure as a challenge to overcome, not proof that they're not good enough. Later studies used brain scans and showed that people with a growth mindset have more brain activity after they make a mistake because they're processing it and learning from it. So when your fear wants to turn every mistake into a judgment, where you tell yourself you're just not cut out for this, use a growth mindset to hit back at your fear and say, "No, you're wrong. Now I know what to do better next time." The third fighting stance is power. As part of my first job after graduating, I used to facilitate workshops with leaders in huge corporations. The attendees were a lot older, experienced business people, and I was just a young graduate. I felt like I could feel them judging me before I'd even said a word. I found these workshops really intimidating. So I needed to conquer my fear so it didn't get in the way. Fortunately, I learned a science-based strategy that only takes 2 minutes to stop fear in its tracks, and I used it before leading every workshop. Social psychologist Amy Cuddy discovered that when you're hunched and small and you're feeling tense, your body sends signals to your brain that says, "I'm under threat, I'm not safe." But when you stand tall, with your arms open, your hands on your hips, your hormones actually change how you feel. These power poses lower your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone, increase your testosterone, which is linked to assertiveness, and they stabilize your heart rate variability, which is your ability to stay balanced under pressure. I used these power poses to feel braver, even before I believed I actually was. This is why you see athletes adopt a wide stance before a match, and why performers breathe deep and roll their shoulders back before they step onto a stage. So the next time you're staring fear in the face, don't just think brave, stand brave. Now you've got your sword at the ready. But in battle, even the strongest sword can't block every hit. That's where your shield comes in. It's your defense and one of the most powerful shields we have. is exposure. It's one of the most evidence-based treatments in psychology for anxiety and phobias. Let's say you're terrified of public speaking, but you really want to get better at it. Instead of diving in at the deep end and joining Toastmasters or signing up to do a TEDx talk, start by saying just one sentence in a meeting. Then maybe leave your friend a voice memo rather than a text message. Then maybe you could film a short video on your phone and post it to your Instagram story. When you intentionally face what you're afraid of in low stakes ways, your brain learns it isn't as dangerous as you first thought. Every time you do this, your nervous system desensitizes, so you have less fear the next time you do it, and even less the time after that. It's called habituation, and it's backed by decades of research. But let's be honest, even the smallest step towards something that scares you can feel massive when you're alone. Fear hits the hardest when it isolates you, when all you can hear is your own fearful thoughts, how you're going to mess it up, how you're not good enough, which is why one of the strongest shields you can have is connection. To defeat fear, you can call someone, text your friend, tell someone, hey, I'm scared, but I'm going to do this anyway. Admitting you're scared isn't a weakness. You're tapping into neuroscience to make you stronger. When you connect with someone you trust, your brain releases oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. Oxytocin doesn't just make you feel warm and fuzzy. It actually reduces cortisol, so your body literally becomes less reactive to any fears when you feel supported. Studies show that people who feel socially connected have better stress resilience, are more likely to take healthy risks, and even heal faster from emotional wounds. The good news is you don't need a massive social army. You just need one person in your corner. So before you take your next scary leap, send a message to someone who believes in you. The final tool in your fight against fear is the most powerful of them all. When the direction isn't clear, it's easy to believe what your fear is telling you. Maybe this isn't worth it. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you should turn back. And what you need now isn't more courage. You actually just need clarity. Because when you know what you're fighting for, your why can fight your fear. So let's get clear on what this is and help you find your map. Now, your map isn't made of directions. It's made of values and principles. You're not just doing something hard. You're doing something that matters. And that difference is everything. Studies show that people who are deeply connected to a sense of purpose are less likely to give up, even when they're anxious, uncertain, or even exhausted. It brings to mind this quote by Susan Jeffers, "Feel the fear and do it anyway." This is called psychological flexibility, the ability to feel all that fear and discomfort and still go ahead. I'm an introvert, so making videos for the world to see is not exactly comfortable for me. But if this video helps even one person, it motivates me to make it, even with all of my fear. The map doesn't necessarily make your path easy, but it does make it worth it. Here's a quick activity to find your why. Think of the fear you're facing right now. It might be posting something online, starting a side hustle, maybe having a difficult conversation. Now ask yourself, if I weren't afraid, what would I do? And let the answer come up and don't judge it. Then ask yourself, why does this matter to me? Not why it's impressive to other people or why it's productive, but why it matters to you. Might be growth, it might be integrity, connection, creativity, whatever it is, your fear is pointing you towards something important. And then finally complete this sentence. This fear stands between me and I care more about that than being comfortable. And take a second to really think about it. Write it down somewhere and say it aloud to yourself, because that's your map. When your reason is clear, your fear becomes part of the path, not the thing that blocks it. But even with this knowledge, if you still feel scared of doing the wrong thing, that's not just fear, that's indecision. To finally get clarity on a big life decision, watch this video next. Like if you found this video helpful, subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.